Now, y'all know I'm not Tim. I don't shout and holler now. Y'all trying to stir me up. I mean, I do shout and holler, but not. Wow, I love it. I was like, you know what? If Pastor Jason don't put the mic down, he's going to preach my sermon. So I'm just going to. No, I feel it in the room. I feel a freedom in the room. I don't know if it's just remnants or leftover for, not remnants, but overflow from this morning in Kingsway College. Is that what it is? That's what it is. So I feel the freedom for you to step out of what was into who you have always been called to be, to the now. I feel a freedom tonight for you to really grab hold of what God's saying and to let go of what was and not be held and to step into who you're called to be. So Pastor Jason 2 weeks ago said, hey, Jonathan, would you speak on this Wednesday night? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. But, I'm also scheduled to speak at the college that morning. So, yeah, that's just extra preparation. That's all good. I can do it. And so I asked the Lord, I was like, Lord, what would you have me share? And he just spoke to my heart. He said, hey, when Pastor Jason asked you guys to speak or to say what was on your heart for what the Lord was saying for this coming new year, when we stepped into the Hebraic New Year, the Lord spoke to me very clearly that it's a season for us to come out from distraction. Yeah. And so I was like, all right. I'll do that. And then this past Sunday, Pastor Jason spoke on distraction and honor. And I was like, are you serious, Lord? I was kind of scratching my head. And I was like, oh, now what do I got to preach on now? Maybe I'll just ask Tim to speak. He's always good for one. And but then the Lord was like, no, that's not it. I didn't change my mind. He's like, how often do you have to tell your kids something more than once? And I was like, well, more than I'd like to. The saying is, how many times do I have to tell you? And they say, it's one. I said, then why am I having to say that again? But and then he reminded me, he goes, there's several gospels. They say the same thing just from different perspectives. And so I believe tonight he wants us to keep hammering until it's forged within us that we are to come away from distraction. And so the title of my message would be Narrowing Your Focus and Eliminating Distraction. Our key verse, chapter 4 of Proverbs, verse 25, you don't have to put it up. I'm just going to say it. Is set your eyes on the path before you. With fixed purpose, look straight ahead, ignoring life's distractions. Say that again. Set your eyes on the path before you. With fixed purpose, look straight ahead, ignoring life's distractions. So we're going to dig into the points of that verse. So what is your purpose that you're to be focused on and the distractions you need to avoid? I want to start by just asking questions. I feel like sometimes if you ask a question, it stirs us and makes us think. And so as I ask the question, ask your own heart some of these questions. What's the path that you've been set before you? Do you know why you're here? Are you aware of why you're breathing? Why did God put you on this planet? Why here? Why now? What's your purpose? What is your call? Do you have a mission? Why do you have your job? Why are you a part of your family? Why are you in Birmingham? Why are you at Kingsway? Do you know why you're designed the way you're designed? Where does your piece fit in the puzzle? Why do you do what you do? If we were to individually sit together and I was just to ask you, what's your purpose? What's your assignment? Could you clearly articulate to me what that is? Just ask it. I believe Pastor Jason, you actually, I don't know if it was at the beginning of this year or last year, he actually asked us to take a moment, sit and listen and write down what our purpose is. I've been blessed with some great friends. A lot of them amazing in their own ways. But when I was thinking about this message, about distraction and focused purpose, a couple of them just came straight to mind. And these guys live pretty simple lives. And when I say they live simple lives, I don't mean they're simple-minded or what they do is easy, but they have a narrow focus. They know their assignment and they really give all effort to that. And so if I was to ask John Douglas, buddy I've ran with for several years, man, what you here for? It'd be really simple. I know it. He'd say to know God and make him known. That's like, you got a company called Known Construction. That's it, man. Now, I mean, what cranks his tractor other than Felicia is reaching the lost, the unreached. I mean, that's what burns in his heart. That's all that's what the brother breathes. That's what he thinks about, is the unreached. Even he has a part-time job as well as a company, and that's all about reaching the lost. I mean, that's his heart. You cut him open, he's bleeding for souls. My buddy Tim Beck, I've ran with him for I don't even know how many years now, a long time. But if I asked him, I don't have to ask him, I know what it is. It's 2 words, harvest, revival. He says, if it's not harvest and revival, I'm not doing it. I mean, I've heard him say that so many times. If it's not reaching the lost and stirring the heart of the bride to be everything she's called to be, then he doesn't do it. That's focus. Yeah. Tonight, if you don't know your purpose or assignment, it's my prayer that you discover it. And with bulldog tenacity, set your face toward it. And everything you do moving forward from tonight on, it'd be with that in mind. So what is your purpose? We're all called to be like Jesus, to destroy the works of the devil, to testify the truth, to fulfill the Great Commission. I mean, that's like a blanket thing that we're all supposed to do. But have you taken the time to sit before the Father and ask, why am I here? What is my unique assignment? Lord, you designed me, so what should I be giving myself to that will bring you joy and me fulfillment? Not just the big picture stuff though, but what about like, Lord, what's my assignment? Narrow it down to something smaller. At my job, what's my assignment? In my school, within my family, today, what should I be focused on? If we intentionally narrow our focus, we will more consistently hit the mark of purpose. I'm going to say that again. If we intentionally narrow our focus, we will be more consistent at hitting the mark of purpose. Personally, the Lord has me focusing in about 5 different areas right now. It's intimacy with Him, my personal and spiritual growth, my family, my health, and what I do, my work. And how I'm doing that, just going to give you some just practicals of what the Lord's telling me to do right now, is that I get up earlier and I spend more time with Him. That I'm reading and studying, spending time developing the gifts that He's given me. That I'm taking time being present with my family when we're together. That I'm being consistent with working out, getting into a consistent routine. In the last 2 years, I've gained about 20 pounds. I need to do something about that. And so he's letting me know. And I'm being intentional to look for the treasure in people and to call it out and to keep my assignment before me. Pastor Jeff spoke on that. He said, don't just see what's in people, call it out, the value that they have. I know there's some of you tonight that, you know your purpose. You know you live on assignment. Every day is probably a win for you. You're not very seldom distracted. You're on task. But then I think on the other side, there's probably a few in here that, you have no idea. Life is kind of happening to you and you're doing your best just to keep your head above water. And then I think probably where several people will find themselves is you have an understanding of purpose, but it's just not completely clear. It's not constantly before you. And it's easy. I think sometimes you find yourself going around mountains, kind of doing circles in a desert. And it's because of distraction, just constantly gets your attention and you find yourself kind of off path. But God has so much more for you. So I have the privilege of being a father, and that's one of the greatest joys of my life. And one of the jobs of a father is to speak identity and purpose over the children, to kind of give assignment and let them know, to hear the heart of the Father, to see the gifts they have in them and call it out and to speak that over them, that identity. And if that's in my heart as a, best father I can be, but a perfect father, how much more does He want us to know our assignment, to know our identity, to have purpose? The Bible says that if we lack wisdom, all we have to do is ask. And if we ask Him, He'll give the answer. But I don't think the problem is Him not speaking. It's often us not hearing. So I want to talk about that just for a second. Actually, this week, Ashley and I pulled out our old game console, like an Xbox 360. We don't do video games much at our house, but our kids been wanting to play, and I pulled it out, and there's a part of it called the Kinect, and it's it's been years since it's been on, so it had to be recalibrated, and it like reads your body movements, and so we were trying to set that up, and it kept sending off this warning sign, and it said the background noise is too loud, it wouldn't calibrate, and I just kept getting this warning, it's too loud, too much, and it would not calibrate. I think sometimes we get so used to the noise around us and in us that we don't even realize that we're out of calibration. We become so distracted we don't hear. So I want to look at distraction. Pastor Jason Sunday gave some definition to distraction, but I want to give just a couple different definitions. Distraction is a thing that prevents someone from giving full attention to something else. Distraction is the process of diverting the attention of an individual or group from a desired area of focus and thereby blocking and diminishing the reception of desired information. Distraction is caused by the lack of ability to pay attention, lack of interest in an object of attention, or attractiveness or something other than the object of attention. Distraction comes from both external and internal sources, contributing to the interference of focus. You know, distraction doesn't just happen to us. We allow it to happen to us. So I want to talk about internal distraction, the battlefield of the mind, the perceived realities. Have you ever had a fight with somebody that wasn't even fighting back, like in your mind? Like you're carrying on conversation with them and they're not even in the room. You're arguing with them and they're not even anywhere around. This kind of reminds me of a couple stories, but I had this friend back in the day. We worked out at a gym, and he wasn't hot. Some people might, that makes me think of something else. Our kids this week said to Ashley, Dad, or asked Mom, they're like, what does hot mean? Like, you're hot. And she's like, it's like you look good. And she's like, but we don't want to say someone's hot. We just say you're handsome or you're pretty. And then they have a follow-up question. Well, what does it mean to say you have a crush on someone? And she's like, well, that means and then they're like, so can a brother have a crush on a sister? And she's like, not really. That's not been good since like Middle Ages. So it's all these funny things, the kids are always asking questions and you're having to answer and like help put perspective to it. But anyways, I had this friend. Some may have considered him hot, but he was what I would call hot-headed. And so we're in the gym kind of working out, and it's a glass front to it, and somebody walks by, and they're kind of looking like this, and he's like, what? Like, what you thinking, man? Like, why are you staring me down? And so he started getting all frustrated and just really hot, and like to the point of he's about to go outside and start and, have a face-to-face encounter with this guy. And, it's bothering him like the rest of the day working out. And I'm like, wow, don't ever stare at him. He doesn't like that, And so another day or two goes by, and we're walking to the gym together, and we're coming up to the front of the glass, and I don't know if he's got a new muscle shirt or what, and he's actually checking himself out in the glass on the way out, and he's like looking, and then it's like, ding, it goes off. He's like, holy smokes. He was all frustrated, completely worked up about this guy. And that dude he didn't even know he was in the room. That guy was checking himself out, as he's walking by the reflection on glass. And so that it hits the guy. He's like, oh man, yeah. So he had this battle raging in his mind that was totally an illusion. So, if we have the surrendered, when you've surrendered to Christ, your life's no longer your own. You now share in his victory, and you have the mind of Christ. But you have a part to play when it comes to partnering with and stewarding the life you've been given and your mind. When it comes to the mind, I've heard an analogy, and it's like, say you have your house or your apartment or duplex or whatever you live in. It's yours. And you've been given keys. You have the stewardship of your home. But let's say you come home, and one day you come home from work, and there's like several cars outside, and you walk in, and there's people in your house. Like, you know some, but you don't know others. And you're like, what's going on in here? Well, you're like, whatever, and you just keep going on, and they're kind of starting up, looks like a party, and it's getting crazy, and you're like, I'm going to bed. And all throughout the night, they're playing loud music, and they're still there. And you wake up, and there's people crashed out on your couch. They're all over your house. You go to the fridge. They've been eating your food. And you're like, what's happening? Well, you go to work, and you come home, and there's more people at your house the next day. And there's more people you don't know. And the party is really ramping up. And it's getting crazy. Next thing you know, they're arranging the furniture different in your house. And they're starting to play movies and stuff you don't like all throughout the night. They're starting to come into your bedroom. It's like, it's getting out of hand. They're arranging the furniture. They're changing out the fixtures. Like, it's chaos. You're frustrated. You're completely like, you're worked up. I mean, hey, you got a house full of people that's going crazy. You're at work and you're like, man, you're not even yourself. And you got a friend that comes up and they're like, dude, what's going on, man? You're like a shell of yourself. You're snipping at people. You're really short. Like, you're just not being yourself. And you're like, you don't understand, man. My house is full of strangers. There's all these people. They're having a party all night. They're playing this loud music all night long. It's chaos. I've got people in the middle of the night coming in my bedroom, bro. And he says to you, well, what the heck, man? It's your house. Why are you allowing that to go on? Kick them out. Don't you have keys? And it's like, bing. So you go home. You say, the party's over. Get your rear ends out of my house. And you kick them all out. And then you lock the door. And then you look around and you're like, holy smoke, there's a ton of work to do now. You got to get the trash bag and clean up all the mess. Rearrange the furniture and maybe even paint some walls. But it's just like that with our lives and our minds. You've been given authority and keys to steward your life, your physical body, mental clarity, emotional health. Your purpose is in your care. You have a call of God on your life. You've been called to focus in and do what only you can do. However, if you choose to let whatever, whenever come through the doors of your heart and mind and start rearranging things, then the decisions you make, the way you think, the way you respond and react to things will become distorted because of the inward battle you're allowing to go on. If you continue to live in a distracted state, you run the risk of becoming deceived, where you begin to believe the lies and that the illusions are actually reality. Matthew 28:18 says, all authority in heaven and earth has been given to Jesus. So all the enemy really has is lies, deception, illusions, distractions. He has no power or authority unless you take your keys, unlock the door, and allow him to come in. You know, one of the first forms of distraction is in the garden. Adam and Eve, they got it made. They're walking in the cool of the garden. They are naked and unashamed. Boy, I could really spend some time there, but my wife said it would not be appropriate. But unashamedly naked. They've got all the fruit in the garden. They can eat from any tree. They're walking with the Lord. They've got it made. There's only one tree they can't eat from, and that's where the enemy comes and attacks. He says, you've got all these blessings, but what you need is what you don't have. That's what's going to make you happy. What you don't have, that's what you need. And it's still the same today. In reality, we have more than we need. We have more stuff than we've got room for. It takes up so much room in our lives, in our homes, in our minds. But for some reason, we keep thinking the next thing that's going to do it. You can never fill an internal space with an external thing. I'll repeat that one more time. You can never fill an internal space with an external thing. So what are you allowing and giving time to that should really have no place? One thing I'm working on is this thing right here. It is a great tool, and I use it. But sometimes I become a slave to what was meant to help me. Unfortunately, or maybe actually fortunately, they've got now a thing on there where you can actually see how you're using your phone and how often. I use my phone, I'm telling myself, an average of 5 hours a day. I do use it for work, and I read the Bible and different things on it, but 5 hours a day. Pick it up over 100 times a day. The average person spends more than 2 hours a day on social media. In a lifetime, that's over 7 years. I don't want to just keep harping on that, but the Lord is working with me on putting some boundaries around it so that it doesn't run me. When we're at home or we're at the table, it doesn't get to come be with us anymore. I call it toilet time, but sometimes that gets extended because the phone's in there. It's too easy. Even my baths, I've been like not bringing it so that I could spend time with the Lord. Hey, I take baths. I'm sorry. That's just what I do. Everybody got their thing. I got a big jacuzzi tub. I like it. I get with Jesus, or sometimes I get on the phone. So I'm going to spend more time with Jesus by not bringing my phone. Anyways, I'm putting some boundaries around it, and so that it doesn't run me. I heard a pastor say, I think it was Craig Rochelle. He says, my life is too valuable, my calling too great, my God is too good to waste my life on what's not valuable. So good. I will repeat that since it is so good. My life is too valuable, my calling too great, my God is too good to waste my life on what's not valuable. You know, the older I get, the more I realize just how precious and valuable time is. And how I spend time, it's a good indicator of what has my heart. You know, speaking of distractions, even the seasons of life itself can become distractions. We walk through different seasons in life, and that's natural. Seasons help us grow and mature, but not every season is sunshine and rainbows. Sometimes things happen that are unexpected, but seasons are meant to be just that, seasons. They have a beginning, they have an end. We're to walk through them. There are times we face attack, but we're not always under attack. There's times we have intense warfare, but we're not always in a season of intense warfare. The scriptures say, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. That doesn't mean we don't walk through the valley of shadow of death sometimes, but we're to walk through. You know, the enemy would love for you to become distracted or give the illusion that the shadow of death or the wilderness is your lot because of what you've done or how many detours you've taken or you've missed your chance. But don't believe the lie. You're to come through. I love our key verse that says, set your eyes on the path before you. I've always seen my life as a walk with God. I've always wanted on my tombstone to be, he walked with God and he was no more. It's a journey down a path. In the kingdom, we're called to go from glory to glory, to walk forward, 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps forward. And when tough times come, to stand. When all hell breaks loose, to stand. When attacks come, to stand. When you suffer loss, stand. When you don't see breakthrough the way you were expecting, stand. I mean, can I be real? When you get a bad report, don't step back, stand. When all hope seems lost and you feel like you're the only one on the planet, you're alone, don't step back, stand. Ephesians 6:13 says, therefore, take up the whole armor of God that you may be able to withstand in the evil day. And having done all to stand, stand therefore, having girded your waist with truth. Gird your loins with truth. I love that. So basically, pull up your big boy pants and hold them up with truth. That's good. Say no to the lies and deception. No to the vain imaginations. Take up the shield of faith, the sword of the Spirit, and stand, stand, stand. Focus and stand. You were designed to live with vision and purpose, to live on mission and to keep moving forward. I've heard this said and it makes so much sense. Even the way our bodies are laid out, it's a prophetic symbol of God's purpose and design for us. We have eyes that face forward. Our feet face forward. Our arms, they can move back, but they mostly work forward for doing battle forward. You were meant to move forward. You know, Peter stepped into the impossible situation and began to walk on water because he responded to the voice of the Lord. He fixed his eyes and he began to do the impossible. However, when his focus shifted onto the distractions of the winds and the waves, he was no longer moving forward in focused faith, but he began to sink in distraction of what was around him. I think of the life of Jesus, and hopefully I won't go too long, but here we go. Jesus grew in wisdom, stature, and favor with God in Luke 2. And he learned obedience from what he suffered in Hebrews 5. Now, he didn't do all he did just because he was the Son of God. He had to learn. He had to grow. We know that. He had to get alone with his Father to cultivate a life of intimacy, to get directions, to know what to do, to know where to put his focus, to overcome temptation. The secret sauce to Jesus' ministry and his life, it was found in intimacy with the Father and learning to put his focus on what his Father says to do. You know, you don't have to go another day with unclear focus. You don't have to go another moment with a cloudy mind filled with unwanted noise. You don't have to live unproductive doing the two-step. 2 steps forward one day and 1 step back the next. Just in a cycle. I think even the world calls that unproductive. I'm here to tell you that tonight, God wants to make your path clear, to show you how to identify and eliminate the distractions and give you laser focus toward your unique purpose. I mean, if you seriously want to know your purpose and make your life count with as few distractions and detours as possible, I think it'd be a good idea to sit before the Lord with an open heart, maybe a pen and paper, and just ask some questions. And I was supposed today I was supposed to speak on solitude, getting alone with God. But the glory of God was already here. And we were in company with each other and God. And I didn't speak on solitude. But I think it'd be really good if we take some time tonight, tomorrow, throughout the week, intentionally get alone with God and ask some questions. Get clear focus. Hear his voice. Tune out the noise. Begin to listen. He's speaking. He's such a good daddy. He speaks so clear. I was talking to a guy yesterday and talking about a prophetic panel. He goes, your church got a prophetic panel? I said, well, man, anybody can hear from God. We just got to listen. We got to tune out the noise. So here's some questions. But before I give you the questions, I want you to know one thing. When God gives you that purpose, if you already know it, but you begin to focus on it, that one yes to purpose is going to mean 1,000 no's to everything else, to something else. Me saying, yeah, I'll do this sermon tonight, and though it's not too awful long, meant Saturday watching the football game with friends needed to be out because I needed to focus. So your yes to your purpose will cost you no's to other things that are good. So here's some questions about distraction. Maybe you can ask yourself, what has my attention? What am I giving my time to? Are there possible relationships I need to reevaluate? Is he or she pulling me up or down? Are they a distraction? Of course, I am not talking about marriage in that one. Do I really need that app? Is that series of shows worth the limited amount of time that I've been given? I'm going to say that one more time. Is that series of show, binge watching this, is it worth the limited amount of time that I've been given on this planet? What notifications can I turn off? What good things can I give up and replace with something better? Is that thing really going to make me happy? Do I really need more stuff? Is there a reason that the blessings that you've given me aren't enough? Where can I begin to, good Lord, I'm getting a phone call, praise God. Where can I begin to quiet the noise around me? How can I make the distractions? I don't even know who that was. So where can I begin to quiet the noise around me? How can I make margin for what matters most? Lord, help me hear your voice. Show me my purpose. Help me narrow my focus. The Lord may give you your own questions for your own heart. But it's so crucial. You know, we only get one shot at this thing, life. I want mine to matter. I want it to count. I want to stand before him. And he said, you know what? You drained that baby dry. You got everything out of it, Jonathan. Well done. I don't want to leave something in the tank. I think often I allow life to kind of just happen sometimes, you know, like you're just doing it, you know, you're just doing life. But if we'll become intentional, keep our focus before us every day, just focus it in, dial it in. God, today I'm going to do this and this and this. What's the purpose in it? Put me on a greater assignment. Show me what your heart is here. You know, when you get in a situation, maybe you're at work and you don't really like your job and you're going to jump to another job because this job isn't making you happy, but the last job didn't make you happy. And you're looking for something else to make you happy. Maybe just ask the Lord, I'm here now with these people. What's my assignment? What can I do now with where I'm at? And it's awesome. When you find purpose, you can find a joy to move forward when normally you would have just sat and scratched your head or just been like twiddling your thumbs. So I just encourage us. I really feel the Lord wants to say, live intentional. Dial your focus in. Find a way, like, you know, we're trying to give praise in the midst of whatever. Find something to be grateful for and find a mission in the midst of wherever you're at. And that's really going to help with the distractions. But then evaluate your life every once in a while and say, hey, am I maximizing what I've been given? That's really it. It's not like some big boom word, but I ask the Lord that it would, right now, that it would really sit in your heart and that you would find yourself, that we would find ourselves living on mission with focused intention, undistracted, because our face is set like flint to do the will of our Father. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to belabor this. I'm done. I have spoken.
Well, it's kind of like Ben led us earlier, capture our heart again. How many of you feel like parts of your heart are getting recaptured? So that part of your life can get recalibrated. Put your hand on your heart and say, God, I surrender every part to your heart. Capture, calibrate, I'm yours. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, we've got some questions to go ask the Lord and let him help you with the answers. Amen. We love you so much. Be sure to hug somebody's neck. If you have kids and King's Kids, be sure to grab them. And ladies, don't forget tomorrow night. It's going to be awesome.
Thank you so much for taking your time to join with us for one of our most recent services here at Kingsway Church. Again, we pray that you enjoyed your time viewing this video, and we invite you, if you're watching this on YouTube, click the subscribe button so you can stay up to date on newly uploaded content. If you're watching this on one of our social media platforms, we encourage you to like and share this video with your friends. And if you're watching on our website, kingswayal.com, we ask that you send us an email at info@kingswayal.com. Let us know where you're watching from and how this service impacted you. We bless you.